Welcome to vpod.ai. Okay, buckle up, because it feels like the AI industry just went through maybe the most packed 3 days we've seen all year.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking major shifts here.
Yeah, things that are going to hit everything from like your company's cloud budget right down to how Hollywood actors are feeling right now. Pretty intense.
It really feels structural this time, not just another model update. It seems like everyone's pushing towards the same core goals.
That's right.
Making AI way cheaper to actually run day to day, making it infinitely easier for people to build on, and finally cracking that code of how to make money from all this public excitement without going broke in the process.
Right, the monetization piece.
Yeah.
Crucial. Okay, before we dive into those operational breakthroughs, a quick word from our sponsor.
Of course.
vpod.ai is sponsored by Stonefly. They're leaders in enterprise storage, backup, and disaster recovery, AI storage, and cloud solutions. If you're looking for secure, ransomware-proof storage, then Stonefly sells air-gapped and immutable storage. You can contact sales at stonefly.com to schedule a demo.
So today, we're really setting out to explore these key announcements. We've got news from DeepSeek, IBM, OpenAI, and this significant new startup from a former CTO.
And the goal is to cut through the hype.
Exactly. Find those nuggets of knowledge that actually tell you where this tech is heading now, how they're making it cheaper, easier, and tackling adoption.
Okay, let's start with a big one. Cost. Operational cost. Everyone talks about training, the billions for training.
Gets all the headlines.
But the real silent killer for budgets is inference.
Yeah.
Right? The cost of just running these things, especially with those massive context windows, everyone wants.
That's the one. And that's precisely where DeepSeek just popped back onto the radar with a pretty, audacious claim.
Go on.
They've released an experimental model, V3.2x2x, and they're saying it can slash the cost of running long, complex AI tasks by up to 50%.
50%. Okay, whoa. That's not incremental. That's a leap.
Well, it seems the innovation here is really an optimization. They haven't thrown out the transformer architecture. They're making it run leaner using something called sparse attention.
Sparse attention. Okay, break that down. What is that actually doing?
So think about a model reading a huge document, like 500 pages. Normally, it just plows through, processing every single word.
Even the fluff.
Exactly. Sparse attention is like giving it a really smart speed reading technique. DeepSeek uses this two-step filter. First, a lightning indexer scans the whole thing super fast, basically ignoring big chunks of irrelevant stuff.
Skips the boring parts. Got it.
Pretty much. Then, a second system, the fine-grained token selection system, zooms in on the important sections identified by the indexer and confirms only the absolute key details get processed.
So it's a double filter.
Right. Instead of burning compute cycles on millions of useless words, it focuses its attention on maybe just the critical 10%. And for those long context tasks where cost usually scales up like crazy with more text, it's huge. It could actually make things like summarizing multiple documents financially practical.
Okay, but the obvious question.
Yeah.
If you're filtering that aggressively,
Yeah.
what are you losing? Accuracy must take a hit, right?
Yeah.
Or generality.
That's what's so interesting. The early tests they've shared suggest not really, or at least not significantly. API calls using those long contexts were apparently up to 50% cheaper without a major performance drop. And the best part, they've open sourced the model and the paper on Hugging Face and GitHub so the community can kick the tires right now.
Transparency. Good.
It really suggests there are still tricks left inside the standard transformer box, Ways to make it way more efficient. We haven't hit the wall yet.
Okay, so DeepSeek is coming at cost through software, through algorithms. But IBM, we're tackling the same problem, but from the hardware efficiency side with Granite 4.0.
Exactly. IBM's play is this radical hybrid architecture. They've basically blended the standard transformer design, which is powerful but resource hungry, with something called Mamma 2.
Mamma 2. Never heard of it.
It's an architecture specifically designed to be lighter, more energy efficient. IBM's recipe for Granite 4.0 is 9 parts Mem 2, just 1 part transformer.
9-to-1.
Yeah.
Wow. And what does that mix actually achieve?
Get this, it cuts memory usage by over 70%.
70? Okay, hold on. For listeners maybe not tracking RAM specs day to day, what does a 70% memory cut mean practically for a company using this?
It means huge savings baked right in. Think about a bank or an insurance company running their own models. With Granite 4.0, they could potentially run the same demanding tasks using way fewer of those incredibly expensive GPUs.
So literally Cutting the hardware bill.
Potentially cutting their annual GPU lease cost by more than half, yeah?
Yeah.
While keeping the performance they need. It's a direct hit on the infrastructure expense.
But swapping out most of the transformer, doesn't that risk gutting the model's reasoning power? That seems like the core trade-off. Enterprises need reliability.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? IBM claims they've managed this transition really well. The Granite 4.0 family has a few versions. The big one has 32 billion parameters. But here's the trick. Only about 9 billion are active at once.
Oh, so it's lighter than it looks on paper.
Much lighter to run. And crucially, they're saying the mid-sized Granite model is actually outperforming most other open models on reasoning tests and doing really well in function calling too. Plus, they train these on enormous context windows, like 500,000 tokens.
And IBM's definitely playing to their enterprise base here, aren't they?
Yeah.
I saw something about ISO certification.
Yeah, that's a big part of the pitch. They're calling Granite 4.0 the first open model family with official ISO certification for AI management. Plus, they're cryptographically signing every release.
Translation. We're safe, we're reliable, you can trust us.
Absolutely. They're bundling performance, massive cost savings, and verifiable enterprise-grade security. It's like a CIO's wish list for deploying AI.
Okay, fascinating. So we've got costs coming down on the running side. Let's shift
right.
gears. What about the cost and, frankly, the pain of actually building and fine-tuning these models? That infrastructure hurdle is still huge for developers.
Huge. And that's where Mira Murati comes in, former OpenAI CTO.
Right. She started a new company, Thinking Machines.
Exactly. And their first product is called Tinker. It's laser-focused on killing that infrastructure pain you mentioned.
Oh.
It's a Python-based tool built for developers. The genius, I think, is in how it splits the work. One researcher described it perfectly, said using Tinker was like upgrading from a dial-up modem to fiber optic internet for fine-tuning.
Okay, I like that analogy. So what does the user still do, and what does Tinker take off their plate?
So the user keeps control over the important stuff, the science, about 90% of the algorithmic decisions, training loops, loss functions, all that. But they ditch 90% of the infrastructure nightmare.
Meaning no more GPU juggling.
Exactly. No wrestling with GPU allocation, multi-node setups, resource balancing.
Mm-hmm.
All that compute heavy lifting just happens smoothly on Thinking Machine's own infrastructure. It's built for speed and experimentation.
And they've got results to back this up.
Oh, yeah. Some really impressive ones. Princeton's Godel team used Tinker to fine-tune models for proving mathematical theorems. They hit a 90.4% pass rate with self-correction.
Which is good.
That's about as good as doing a full complex fine-tuning, but they did it with way less data and hassle. Then you've got Stanford's Roscoff lab working on chemistry. They boosted accuracy for converting chemical names, unpack names, from a shaky 15% up to 50%.
Wow, that's a big jump in reliability for a specific task.
Huge. And even Redwood Research, who tackles super complex AI control stuff, used Tinker. One of their team basically said they wouldn't have even tried that project without it.
And Murati's got serious backing, right, like billions.
Yeah, $2 billion from the big VCs A16Z, NVIDIA, Excel. It seems pretty clear she's building Tinker and Thinking Machines as this open, adaptable alternative to the more closed systems out there.
Okay, so let's connect the dots here. We've got DeepSeek and IBM driving down the cost of running AI. Now Tinker is slashing the pain and cost of building specialized AI.
You see it right. The major roadblocks to just getting AI deployed everywhere are starting to crumble, and fast.
Which brings us perfectly to the next piece, getting the public on board and, crucially, figuring out how to pay for it all. OpenAI Sora, the video generator, launched like a rocket.
Absolutely explosive. #1 on the U.S. App Store right out of the gate. 164,000 installs in just 2 days.
Faster than Claude, faster than Copilot, even faster than the original ChatGPT app launch. People clearly want these tools.
They definitely do. But that instant massive popularity created an instant massive problem for OpenAI. Sam Altman even addressed it in what he called Sora Update #1.
Problem being
Cost. Again, people are generating just enormous amounts of video. A lot of it is probably just for fun for tiny audiences. But generating video is incredibly GPU intensive. So OpenAI's server costs are just skyrocketing.
with not much revenue coming in yet to balance it out.
Exactly. So if they can't just charge basic usage fees to cover these exponential costs, what's the plan?
That's what I want to know. How are they changing the model?
Well, they're trying something pretty clever, actually. They're
Yeah.
trying to solve the looming copyright nightmare and the cost problem at the same time. They're setting up a system for revenue sharing
Revenue sharing with who?
with the rights holders of copyrighted characters or likenesses that people might use in their Sora videos. Altman actually called it interactive fan fiction.
Interactive fan fiction.
Yeah.
Huh. So this isn't just about a monthly subscription fee then. It's more fundamental.
Oh, it's a big structural pivot. They're essentially trying to legalize and monetize the use of copyrighted stuff in AI-generated content before the lawsuits pile up.
Instead of playing whack-a-mole with takedowns later.
Precisely. They're moving away from that old content ID model towards something more like an incentivized partnership. They're apparently building tools so rights holders can set really specific rules about how their characters can or can't be used.
Granular controls, not just yes or no.
Right. More than just the simple opt-in. The big picture goal seems to be make Sora so cool people jump on board quickly, even if they have to pay, and simultaneously turn potential legal enemies, the rights holders, into collaborators who get a cut.
That is a fascinating tightrope walk between tech, business, and law. Okay, finally, let's talk about where this all inevitably leads, the cultural clash. AI isn't just a tool anymore, it's stepping into creative roles, like directing a movie.
Yeah, that announcement definitely made waves. Italian producer Andrea Iervolino claiming he's making the first feature film directed entirely by an AI. He's calling the AI Felon.AI.
Felon.AI, seriously.
Yes.
And the movie's called The Sweet Idleness.
Right. Iervolino says he's just the human in the loop. But apparently the trailer looks fully AI-generated, no human actors visible. This follows him introducing that AI actor, Tilly Norwood. Remember that?
Vaguely.
Oh.
Controversial. And the film's about a future where work is just ritual. That feels pointed.
Definitely playing into the current anxieties. And the reaction from Hollywood, immediate and pretty strong.
Understatement. Emily Blunt called it terrifying. Said it destroys the human connection in art.
Whoopi Goldberg called it unfair, pitting human actors against tech trained on potentially their own uncompensated work.
And the Screen Actors Guild just flat out said Tilly Norwood is not an actor, period.
What strikes me most about the reaction, though, is how fierce it is.
Meaning?
Well, if industry pros honestly thought an AI-directed movie or an AI actor would just be complete garbage, artistically bankrupt, something audiences would instantly reject, they'd probably just ignore it, right? Let it fail. The fact that the pushback is so immediate and so visceral, it suggests they actually see it as a credible threat. They're not dismissing it as impossible. They're reacting like they fear it might actually work well enough to catch on. The fear itself is telling.
So let's try and tie all these threads together then. We've got these pushes for cheaper AI operations from DeepSeek and IBM, easier building tools like Tinker, OpenAI trying to manage public adoption and monetization with Sora, and now this aggressive move into cultural territory with AI directors. What does this all add up to for you, the listener?
Yeah, it's clear these aren't just random, isolated things happening. There's a coordinated feel to it. The whole industry seems to be simultaneously trying to shrink its technical footprint, less memory, less cost, using these clever architectural hacks and algorithms.
Like Granite 4.0 and scarce attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
While at the same time, they're dramatically trying to expand AI's creative and economic reach with tools like Tinker and platforms like Sora. The technology is just racing ahead.
Maybe faster than our cultural norms can keep up.
That seems to be the tension point right now.
Which leads me to maybe a final provocative thought for everyone listening. If the cost of running really complex AI drops by half, like DeepSeek claims is possible, and the sheer pain of building and fine-tuning these models disappears thanks to tools like Tinker, what's the real bottleneck left? Is it purely cultural willingness? Are we, as a society, ready to accept AI-generated content like a movie directed by Felon.AI?
That line between what technology can do and what we want it to do, or what we find acceptable, it's getting fuzzier by the day, isn't it? A really powerful question to chew on.
Indeed.
And before we fully wrap up, just one more reminder that vpod.ai is sponsored by Stonefly. They're experts in enterprise storage, backup, disaster recovery, and especially AI storage and cloud solutions.
Right, so if you need secure storage, maybe ransomware-proof options like air-gapped or immutable storage, Stonefly is definitely worth checking out. You can reach them at sales@stonefly.com to set up a demo.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you for joining us for this breakdown of a truly whirlwind few days in AI. Keep thinking about these shifts, and we'll catch you next time.